Founded in 2014, the Extraordinary Achievers' vision is to empower others to be the best version of themselves. The show is hosted by Chief Lady Waynette Peters, a multi-entrepreneur, empowerment speaker, confidence mentor, positive lifestyle coach, humanitarian ambassador, and a TV host. Lady Waynette is a holder of over 35 international awards for her humanitarian, philanthropic, and international empowerment contributions and holds 2 chieftaincy titles. Welcome to the Extraordinary Achievers Show.
For real-life stories broadcasted live on air, to please subscribe to our newsletter from our website. We will be honored if you could please like and follow our Facebook pages. Stay in touch and tune in by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you for following us on our Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and TikTok. We are live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT. Please do share with others.
Real life stories. If you have a life experience to share that gives hope and inspiration to others, a story of overcoming, survival, and endurance that can empower someone else, we would be delighted to hear from you. Please send us a message on our Facebook page, The Extraordinary Achievers, or on our website. We air our live broadcast every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT.
For real-life stories broadcasted live on air, to please subscribe to our newsletter from our website. We will be honored if you could please like and follow our Facebook pages. Stay in touch and tune in by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you for following us on our Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and TikTok. We are live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT. Please do share with others.
Founded in 2014, the Extraordinary Achievers' vision is to empower others to be the best version of themselves. The show is hosted by Chief Lady Waynette Peters, a multi-entrepreneur, empowerment speaker, confidence mentor, positive lifestyle coach, humanitarian ambassador, and a TV host. Lady Waynette is a holder of over 35 international awards for her humanitarian, philanthropic, and international empowerment contributions and holds 2 chieftaincy titles. Welcome to the Extraordinary Achievers Show.
Real life stories. If you have a life experience to share that gives hope and inspiration to others, a story of overcoming, survival, and endurance that can empower someone else. We would be delighted to hear from you. Please send us a message on our Facebook page, The Extraordinary Achievers, or on our website. We air our live broadcast every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT.
For real-life stories broadcasted live on air, to please subscribe to our newsletter from our website. We will be honored if you could please like and follow our Facebook pages. Stay in touch and tune in by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you for following us on our Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and TikTok. We are live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT. Please do share with others.
Real life stories. If you have a life experience to share that gives hope and inspiration to others, a story of overcoming, survival, and endurance that can empower someone else, we would be delighted to hear from you. Please send us a message on our Facebook page, The Extraordinary Achievers, or on our website. We air our live broadcast every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT. Real life stories. If you have a life experience to share that gives hope and inspiration to others, a story of overcoming, survival, and endurance that can empower someone else, we would be delighted to hear from you. Please send us a message on our Facebook page, The Extraordinary Achievers, or on our website. We air our live broadcast every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT.
Thank you for joining us to another episode of the Extraordinary Achievers Show, where we're covering community affairs and interests. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and from our website, viewers, we thank you for joining us. We would like to take this opportunity to thank the various admins of several Facebook pages who air live every single Wednesday for us. We appreciate you. We would also like to appreciate all the team members from the Extraordinary Achievers Show. Today, we bring you some amazing guests. And first of all, we want to welcome Peggy onto our screens. Peggy, hello and good evening to you.
Hi, hello, beautiful.
Hi, gorgeous. Making us all feel so jealous on where you are at. And you're loving the background.
Thank you so much.
And you look as gorgeous as ever. Thank you. And we'd also like to welcome Mutoko onto our screens. Mutoko, good evening to you.
Hello, hi, hello. Thanks for having me. Hi.
Thank you, thank you. And you are as radiant as ever. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have just joined us, in times where the number of elected and appointed female heads of states and governments have increased, and we see societies with more women in leading roles and in successful businesses. In recent years, we have seen the rise of female billionaires and millionaires. So we ask the question, how are the home dynamics shaping up? We have some guests that we have to join us on this episode of Women in Power and Women in Charge. So, what happens next? Next, we introduce Mutoko Samson. Mutoko, thank you.
Hi.
Hi. Mutoko Samson is a South African qualified social worker, a lecturer in social work. Mutoko has worked for the ANC, trade unions, NGOs, social work, children, and families. And she has also worked with young people at the edge of care and adults. Mutoko Samson's area of specialism is family group conference and an approach that explores and ensures family involvement before any decisions are taken for the welfare of their child, and is currently finishing her PhD on the same subject of family group conference. And thank you for taking time out today. And we're going to ask you your very first question.
Okay.
Will a woman ever be able to replace the importance of a man?
Well, in theory, yes, but in practice, and why should we? Why should we replace the importance of men? We are looking at the family right now, especially talking about Black families. They are disseminated, they are broken up completely. So, if we are going to take this opportunity to replace men, it's not a competition. We need men, they need us. When we're talking about our children, how do we raise children in a home where they only see a woman and only see a man? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but just because we can do it, it doesn't mean that we should. There are a lot of opportunities for us to learn from men, to learn from women. And when we talk about men, we're talking about our children, we're talking about our brothers, our cousins, our fathers, our uncles. So why wouldn't we have them here? I know that we've picked up the slack a lot because we've had to move forward and do things because the system has been failing us. Men have not been there to do what they are supposed to do. Doesn't mean they are not needed, but they need to be here, but they need to do the right thing. They need to be available to play their role, whatever their role is in society.
Thank you for that reflection. And our next question to you is, are women changing the narrative of family and home dynamics?
Well, there have been since time immemorial, because whenever there's been remarkable changes, for example, women started in this country, women started going to work during the war because men were out at war. Growing up in South Africa, I know how much the apartheid system changed the whole family dynamic, because they took all the men in villages and where people lived and they put them in cities, in places where women were not allowed to live. So you had children growing up without ever seeing their father, maybe seeing them twice a year. Some of them, they come home to leave the woman pregnant and go back to work. By the time they come back, the child is a year old. So they've had to make it, they've had to make it work. It doesn't mean that it was something that needed to be done, but we were responding to a system that was killing the family institution altogether. So at the end of the day, women have done what they have to keep what they've done to keep the home fires burning. But there is an opportunity here for us to raise kids in families where, whenever possible, you have both parents, whatever sex they are. But it's important for us to have families where you have male, female, everyone else. And even in some instances, you have people who grow up without a father, but an uncle will come up and take that role, or the grandparent, because it means that in terms of socialization, we need to know that everyone has a role to play. So we are getting a chance for everyone to see how the family will function, as long as it's functioning in a healthy way, in a healthy manner.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We are now going to welcome our viewers at home and read some. So we would like to say good evening to you. If you've just joined us, welcome to another episode of The Extraordinary Achievers. And we welcome your comments and we welcome you interacting with our guest today. So we'll go on to our first comment. Louisa Artie says good evening and good evening, my darling friend, too. And Bangi says, good evening, and good evening to you, too. And thank you for joining us. Melissa says, good evening, and good evening to you. And thank you for doing some amazing work with us. And T. Alavi says, good evening, and good evening to you, hon. Thank you. And Vicky Gavi, our researcher, she says, good evening, and good evening to the guests. And thank you for joining us. Patrick T says, hey, everybody, hope it's a good show tonight. First commentator, apparently, oh yeah, definitely you are. And Empress Joanne says, good evening, beautiful, and good evening to you, my lovely coach. And thank you for joining us today. And Mutombi says, greetings. I'm excited to be here tonight, looking forward. And we're looking forward to it too. And just to let you know that she has some goodies for us today. And we will be playing Mutombi's video later on in the show. And Princess K says, good evening. Kelsey, good evening to you. Pastor Liz, good evening. And love you, my darling sister. Thank you. And Cynthia Charles says, hiya, I'm here. And hey, Cynthia, thank you for joining. And she says, I'm a talker, my queen. She says, hello to you. And Caroline Kazdue says, very relevant topic choice. And thank you for joining us, my darling sister. And we have Caroline Bennett says, yes, I do. We need families that include men. And don't we agree on that one? Tani says, so great to be back and so great to have you on the show. Thank you. Monty Master Mo says, hey there, love the topic. And we know you are going to sink into that topic. Pastor Pat says, good evening, our sister, and good evening, and God bless you too. And thank you for joining us. Nicholas says, amazing points, Mtoko. It's important we recognize the importance both men and women play. And that's very true. Azona, hey, all the way from Nigeria. Hello, love. And hi, thank you for joining us. And keep those comments coming in and interact with our guests. And our guests will be motivated by you, and they will motivate us in turn. Now, let's go back and talk about women in power and women in charge. Do we still need men, or are we too powerful to need men? Is there still a role for a man in our lives? Let's welcome Coach Peggy Williams onto our screens, all the way from the US of A. And hello.
Hello, darling. How are you? And how are all of our listeners and viewers? Good evening.
Fantastic. I am, the new word that Coach Peggy has taught me is super duper listicle. Say it for me.
Super duperistical.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I've been saying it every morning since you taught me that word, and I'm feeling super.
That's good. That's good.
So, Coach Peggy Williams, a life coach and a woman of many different talents. She goes by the tagline, all things wellness in your real world. And I love a quotation that I read from your website. And it read, when you think about wellness, think prevention and health. And when you think about well-being, think happiness. So ever since, and I'm saying well-being, happiness, well-being, happiness. Peggy says her mission is to offer diverse health, wellness, and lifestyle programs to vast audiences. She believes that she is a one-stop shop. Peggy has been something for everyone, whether it be virtual or in person. As a multi-award-winning business and work site wellness program recipient, Coach Peggy has proven her persistence and ability in identifying individuals, groups, or organizational hurdles. Her multiple solutions produce positive shifts and outcomes, and they are unmatched. And today we welcome you on the Extraordinary Achievers Show. Peggy Williams is the radio host of the Coach Peggy Show. Your first question, the same questions that we asked before.
Yeah.
Will a woman ever be able to replace the importance of a man?
No. No. And I kind of want to take a little bit of a twist on this, if I possibly could. One of the biggest awarenesses I've had in this last year, after 30 years as a trainer and as a life coach, I just have to tell you that COVID opened my eyes. I thought I've seen everything, but this is what one of the big things that I really learned is how important the roles are for all genders, every role, whether it's grandparents, parents, male, female. When we got stuck at home for a year, which is actually amazing that the whole world felt the pain point simultaneously. So we didn't point fingers, we felt it simultaneously. What did we have to do? We had to step up and be teachers to our kiddos. We had to support each other as in our relationships. We had to support each other at home with chores, with finances, income, everything. And to me, as a coach, I was so excited. Sounds crazy, but I was so excited to see a situation where we can respect each other for our various roles and frankly realize that we cannot do it without each other. And I struggle sometimes with the male or the female or those types of issues that we really should be looking at all inclusivity and how we can solve problems. So, will we replace the male? No. Do we need to or want to? No. We kind of need them to continue the world existence.
We need the men, says Coach Peggy. We need the men in our lives. And Peggy, tell me, are women changing the narrative of family and home dynamics?
Absolutely. Definitely. Again, I'm going to kind of go back to COVID, which I know I don't want to keep going back to it. But what I realized, I spent 25 years in corporate America where you were completely celebrated if you worked 15 hours a day, male or female. Didn't matter about whether you slept, whether you had stress, whether your relationships fell apart. And what I learned with COVID is that the female role, I'm just going to say it, you can't be judged by your whole entire package, your whole body. You got from here down, it's not seen. It doesn't matter what we wear either. But I feel like in corporate America, there were so many opportunities where our women were highly educated. Sometimes the studies show today that we actually over decades were receiving higher grades, just saying. And in times of advancement or feeling like we needed promotions, those type of things, a lot of my women, lawyers, physicians, felt they were judged off their package, their vessel they lived in, judged off of whether they were overweight or underweight. And I really feel like our role is changing at home. We are being respected, intellectually, and I just feel like our roles are changing, the respect level on our support system, what is needed in the world today, raising children or businesses, writing books. I've seen so much in the last year. I keep coming back to COVID, sorry.
Bring me back on. Okay.
Sorry.
COVID has been the highlight of our lives. COVID has been something that we cannot take away. COVID has given us new experiences of us as individuals and as a family unit, with friends, with absolutely everyone. I think we've had a time to review. Our next question to you is: are women in leading roles a threat to men? Do you think money, power is making men threatened? Do you think it's threatening men? Is it making them feel, am I still a man?
Personally, I think they're kind of bringing that baggage with them. I don't believe that women are the source of us affecting masculinity per se as a whole. I do believe that a lot of the higher, males that really feel that their masculinity is threatened, maybe it was like-minded or behavior that they have seen at home. That is kind of where everything starts. In the workforce, however, I have seen working with leadership and then working with the person in the mailroom, I'm not putting them down, but the various roles of leadership and employment, I have seen the difference between a positive male who supports you in your growth, who is respectful in a meeting in the boardroom. I have seen that work, and the females get promoted in that environment. And I have also seen a hyper masculine CEO, CFO, just press down the knowledge and ignore the knowledge and the abilities of women just because of his masculinity. So are they threatened? Absolutely. But I don't think that women as a whole are to blame. There are dads at home, grandpas, moms. So I think it really does start there.
Okay. So we are to blame. In what way can we change? How can we change?
I think it's a lot of it is communication and feeling strong as a woman to have that authority to sit down in a situation. It's a scary thing to sit down in a situation and say, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about how I feel. We need to talk about this environment. I'm feeling less supported by my employees or the people that report to me by the way that you're treating me. And I think it has to do with the world's issues as a whole. If we could talk a little bit more, debate and dialogue respectfully, we would be further ahead than we are right now, instead of feeling extremely threatened. So if you're in a work environment and you feel that way and you love your job and the people, hold the communication with not just the, a male staff member, higher staff member, but the females as well. I really believe it starts with communication, and it starts at home with our kiddos. That's where we need to start and talk to them about how you bring your confidence and experience into a relationship. It's not just you, it's us together as a team. We need to teach our children how important that is to be on the same team.
Thank you, Peggy. And Peggy, we'll be back with you shortly. And thank you for that comments and your insight and your views. We appreciate them. And we would like to now welcome back onto our screens as we go back onto Mutoko. And Mutoko, thank you for taking time out today out of your busy schedule to join us on the Extraordinary Achievers Show. Mutoko, our next question for you: women in leading roles a threat to men? Are we scaring men off?
Well, it depends what your expectations are as a man, because I grew up in a culture that I've found, now reflecting back on it, we have a lot of women who had to dim their light because they did not want to make men feel uncomfortable. So they've always been leaders in their homes, they've been leaders everywhere, but sometimes they ended up in the photocopy room because they just didn't want to show, because they know that this thing called male ego is very fragile. I don't think we are doing anything we have not done, but now women are saying, we've been ruling the world all this time, but we had to hide behind you because you were not comfortable with our light. Our light was too bright for you. So I'm making an example of my own family, because I grew up thinking my father is very strict. I thought my father doesn't want you to dress this way, do this, and do that. And growing up, I just realized he just didn't care, because it's my mom who always said, your father won't approve. And when my father got back, my mom was a professional woman herself. She was a nurse, and my father was a police officer. So whenever my father got home, she will come in and say, so and so wanted to do one, two, three. And I told her, you wouldn't agree to that. So it was a matter of my mom giving my dad his opinion. It's like, you want your opinion, I'll give it to you. So it was just all those things that I'm beginning to reflect on. I'm saying it's not a threat because they've been doing that. I remember growing up, my grandparents telling me about how in the past, years ago, whenever there was a community meeting, only men will be expected to go there and meet. But those men will never come back with a solution that day. They always say, let's adjourn and think about this. It was not about thinking about a solution. It was about going back to consult with their wives and their mothers and whoever else was at home, and come back into this meeting the following time they went there sounding very intelligent, because the women have said, this is what we want, this is how we want it done. So I feel women have always been there. And it depends what your expectations are of a woman. Peggy talks about some men who've been really amazing. And I know some men who've been really amazing who will champion the cause of women. But what are your expectations as a man? What do you think is the role of this woman here? So if you think this woman is just here to just tick the boxes, and this woman needs to dim her light because it's too bright for you, then the problem is yours. It's not so much the woman, but it's just the man. It's about your socialization. What do you see when you see a woman? What do you expect? Is this you're expecting her in the kitchen? And what if we do it all? Most of us professional women, I saw my mom having a full-time job, raising kids and keeping the home fires burning. So it is the men, it's about the fragility of this male ego. Because if you're thinking about it, it's not about what you're doing to men or what women are not doing. It's about the male ego saying, do you still realize I'm a man? It's like they have to always say, I'm a man, by the way. Yes, I know, I've seen that. Oh, I'm a man. So that's why you get a violence in the home sometimes, because they have not been emotionally mature enough to express themselves any other way. So the only way they can express themselves is through violence. So it's not a threat. The threat is about your perception of the threat. So women are not there to threaten the role of men, but it's just about the men's perception of what's going on.
Wow, amazing. Now, can I ask you this question? You said women have always been in power, that we've always had the power. So, are we going back to behind every successful man there's a very strong, loving, and a woman that's right behind that man? Is that the expression we're going back to?
Yeah, and it's we are not going back to it. It's always been there. It's always, and now we don't want to be behind any man. We just need to be successful and amazing in my own right. It doesn't mean that just because I'm your wife or your daughter or you're anything, I should be less of what I am. I remember my dad all his life until his dying day. He said the best decision I've ever made was to marry your mom, because I can see how much could have gone wrong in this family without her. But the whole family saw my father, the whole extended family saw my father as the patriarch of the family. So everybody and everybody knew that he could do that because my mom was strong for him. But then she did not have a chance to not be strong because she knew that he needed her. But then it's not fair, which was right. I'm happy that she did that for him and for us. But you need to also shine in your own right. So my mom never had any aspirations to shine in her own right. Her only aspiration was to always show herself as a strong mother and a strong wife. So I suppose we need to get used and comfortable with being amazing and glowing and shining in our own right, not because we are with and so needs to be comfortable with our light, because why would you be with someone if you don't like their light? So it's about, again, I'm going back to the fragility of the male ego, which becomes problematic, which becomes all sorts of things. So yeah.
So, what I got from that is that the male ego is what you're highlighting in your view. It is the male ego, it's them. Women have always been in the lead, but the male ego is what's being hurt.
Yeah.
We are now going to welcome some comments as we thank Mutoko for her view. And we welcome your view wherever you were at home, at work, wherever you're at. Please share your view tonight. We would like to hear what your views are. Mighty Munya says, hi everyone, awesome intro to the panel, super duper, extra licious keto. I mean, Peggy. I thought you were talking about me. I'm dumping you, Mighty. I mean, Peggy, well spoken, Mutoko to Lady Wendy. Oh, I'm there too. Okay, you're my friend again. You are the best. We need you ladies always. Family first, fam first. And we appreciate you. And Caroline says, family units came together, as did communities. Women are changing the narrative as we show up. However, we can't leave others behind. So Caroline says we can't leave the men behind just because we're rising and women are becoming millionaires, billionaires, super leaders. We should not leave the men behind. Banga says, I so agree with you, Coach Peggy. We both need each as we both complement each other, and we are both God's creation and a plan in progress. And thank you for that. We all need each other. Melissa says, we form a triangle, meaning none of us would be here if both men and women were non-existent. In full agreement with you, Coach Peggy Wilms. And Cynthia says, I agree. COVID made me think very hard, mainly about the things and situations I had taken for granted. We had a lot of time for reflection, a whole year to reflect. And Tombi says, communication is the key indeed. Positive communication, that is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Patrick T says, there are all kinds of families. They don't necessarily need men or women. So I think Patrick is saying we can do away without having men, and we can do away without having women. We can survive independently on our own. Do I agree with that? I'm not too sure. Some people can do a damn good job at doing things by themselves, but I don't think everyone is equipped to do things on their own. We all need someone. And Debbie says, good point, Mtoko. Monty says, the Black Lives Matter movement is based on hate men, and that is growing. Most people are either in the wrong circle or need to move. Some men are threatened by powerful women or women and more. Whilst we leave that comment up and I address what Mr. Monty has said, I've been working for a number of years with reclaiming our children back from the streets, something the Extraordinary Achievers platform has been supporting and contributing into the community. In my take in that time is that women have pushed away men, and there are some good men. Indeed, not everyone is perfect in life, but there are some good men out there that we need to promote. We need to remind ourselves that if relationships finish with men, we have finished a relationship with a man. That relationship broke up and it was between us women and the men, but it doesn't have to affect the children. I think in the narrative of continuously telling children, especially boy children, that your father is a deadbeat, your father is useless, your father is a waste man, I think is a wrong thing to do. Because we are now leaving the boys to go out onto the streets looking for elders onto the streets. And once the boys start looking for elders on the streets, they are losing focus of who they are. We need to encourage them. There are some good men out there. And if you're a man and you're not stepping up, please step up. Now it's time for you to step up. We need these boys, our next generation, our future leaders of men, to grow up being men, and they need their fathers, they need you uncles, they need you brothers, and they need to be the men that they were created to be. And as women, we need to stop calling men dogs. Let's go back to more comments. Patrick says, if men are threatened by women's success, they need to search inside themselves, because the issue is with their outlook, not women. That is very true. Faith says, that's a great point. It's about taking back to what you own, your own expectations are, and communication. Ebangi says, so true, Mtoko. Men are the head and women are the necks. And with so much wisdom, they turn their heads with much more wisdom. And that's where the power manifests from. Nicola says, men should try a more open-minded approach and change their perspective. It's time to encourage women's shine. As Mtoko said, let's rise and flourish together. Melissa says, women are supposed to advise the men to make this world more smoothly. Without each other to support the other, the world can run awry. Hey, so we all need each other. We thank you and we welcome you back onto the Extraordinary Achievers, and we welcome your comments. Do we still need men? Do we still need men? We are growing. We are expanding as females. We are now world leaders. We are business women. We are in high-powered executive positions. But is there a role for a man in our lives? And is there a role for a man in our children's lives? We welcome back Peggy onto our screens. And Peggy, once again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. Peggy, we're going to ask you this question. Can women play a role of a father?
Give me the juicy, juicy question. Can a woman play the role of a father? I want to start and tag on to something that you just said a little bit ago that I love so much. You guys, we are a team, and it's a team effort, whether it's community, whether it is a school system, whether it is neighbors, we are a team. And the thing that frustrates me so much is why we have to point fingers at males or females or whatever we are and try to separate when we need to act like a basketball team or a baseball team. You can't do it with one person. So I totally disagree that a woman can do it all or a man can do it all. I think that is a very all-inclusive behavior. And I personally, as I've had to work on that myself in business, thinking that, oh shit, I can do absolutely every single thing on my own. No. We have been fighting, however, as women since the beginning of time. We've been fighting to drink. We've been fighting to vote. We've been fighting to wear pants. We've been fighting for promotions and financial compatibility with our knowledge. We are fighting for roles in movies. We've been fighting. Let's be a team and rise to the surface for what everybody contributes at home, at work, at school. If we do not help raise our children and teach them a different example, I know I'm fired up. Our kids can't be kids. The Black Lives Matter, I'm just going to jump in. I don't need any mail that I'm Caucasian. I know. The Black Lives Matter thing for me is let's stand up as a world and let our children be children. Don't put them out in the streets to work. Don't put them out there to make adult decisions. We don't put people in a car to drive until they can make decent decisions. And you're putting somebody at 11 years old out to raise a family. Oh, you've got me fired up, lady. My love, why not? You got me fired up. I need to take a deep breath. I've had 80 cups of coffee. Yeah, it fires me up because the individuality and the pointing of each other is just stirring up these angry emotions. And I want to lead with love and appreciation and respect. And I shall take a deep breath.
Yes, take a deep breath. But I do understand in terms of what you're saying is that in other words, this is another campaign that we have, is asking some fathers that are absent fathers to take charge, to come back into families and take their stand as fathers, as men, as the elders of the family. Absent fathers need to play a bigger role. Men are there to father the boys, especially, and the daughters, but especially the boys. So yes, Black Lives Matter, and men come out and do something. We don't need any talk workshops anymore. We need doers to come out and do it. And in this working together, how do we give men the respect that they also deserve as men? We're powerful women. We're not denying it. And we're getting more powerful by the day. But how do we give men the respect that's also due to them so that they can be the men that they're designed to be? Because men are designed to be men.
Right. I was thinking while you were speaking of my father, who's obviously a baby boomer. He's a little older than me. And the mentality of, back in the day when the farmer went out in the field and the mom had their role. And as time, I have conversations with my father all the time. I am a professional woman. I fight for myself. I teach my children to go and have really confident, strong women in their life. And it's a balance, I feel, for me. The way we teach men to not be so defensive or to spin their masculinity is to have them get comfortable with their feminine energy. And I am overly masculine. My energy, trust me, I'm a very to-do person, get it done, get out of my way. But I've had to work on balancing my softer emotion, my more feminine side. We got to do that with our men. We say, cry, don't cry. We say, go scrape your knees. Don't do that. We've got to have conversations from when they're very little to allow them to balance both their masculine and feminine so that we can hold mutual roles, similar roles, or fill the gaps and be able to, again, like I said, be a team, but lift each other up. Just say to your husband or your partner, you know what, you're doing a darn good job. Don't come from a place of going, well, if I say that that's a really good job for him, am I doing a good job? Is he going to say I'm doing a good job on something else? celebrate, and lift each other up, and it will get momentum. It really will.
So in other words, you're saying unity, teamwork, work together, play together, and let's get there. It's teamwork. Teamwork is teamwork. That's what I got from there. Let's work together and let's not put each other down, and let's work towards that same goal. Peggy, we thank you, and we will be back with you shortly on our screens. We are going to go back to Mutoko. Mutoko, welcome back onto our screens. Mutoko, thank you. We ask you this question. Can women play the role of a father?
They have had to, because the system is broken, but they don't need to. So if the system was working as it should, no woman should be playing the role of the father, because there will be someone. And perhaps I'll take you a little bit to my research on family group conferencing. The model is about how the Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand, felt they were losing their children to the system, because whenever something happened, they will come in and remove a child. So they said that's not how it works in our culture. In our culture, a child does not belong to the parents. So if there is a deficit with the parents of any sort, we need to bring that to the community, because with us, a child is an asset of the whole community. So that's why in this community, there's no one who's called a mother, a childless mother, or a motherless child. Whenever there is a need, somebody in the community comes up and step up. So we don't need to, but we've had to step up. And we need men to play their role. And I understand, I respect all the challenges that they are faced with. I understand the system is against them, but we need them. There is a void here. There is a void that needs to be filled. That's why our children go out and find their father figure in a gang, because they can't get it at home. So the reason why I believe in this model, family group conferencing, is because it recognizes that it takes literally the whole village to raise a child. So in instances where there is no father, I said earlier, sometimes the uncle steps up, sometimes someone in the family. We need those people within our community who will be able to say, there is a father there who's missing, but I'm available. What can I do to teach these young men how to be men? Because as Frederick Douglass said, it's easier to raise healthy men than to repair broken men. It's easier to raise healthy children than to repair broken men. So if we are working from the time they are young, you bring out a child and you know that this is going to be an adult one day. So whatever values and ethics you impart into their lives, these are the values they will live by. So we don't want to replace men, but you raise this little boy to cherish a woman, to know his role, to be proud of his role, so that we can work together. And we're talking about energies. You get more people showing off of their feminine energy, because they don't need to worry so much about things, because there's somebody who's helping them. It's not a competition. Men need us, we need men, but we just need to work together. With all our strengths and weaknesses, we need to remember that it's not about us anymore, especially when you've brought a child into the world. As you said earlier, Lady Juanette, it's not so much about what I want. If you grow up every day being told your father is good for nothing, then how are you going to grow up and be better than that? Because that's the standard that's been given to you in your life. So you've said, well, men can be good for nothing. So I idolize my absent father. So why can't I be just like him? So it's about making sure that we raise our children, bearing in mind that we are raising future parents. So whatever deficit is showing, we need to meet each other halfway. That's why if the father is not there, somebody in the family needs to step up. One of the relatives needs to step up. And it's harder for us here as migrant communities, because we left those resources back home. So when you come here, you sort of doing trial and error, because the system, the fabric that made the home, that made you a family, made you who you are, is left behind. But then you have to work to try and remember everything that you were socialized with to be able to be a better person here.
Amazing. Amazing. I will just let that sink in for a second and I say, what an amazing response. And thank you. And once again, what echoes from what you've just said is that unity. We're back to the word unity. Men and women can work together and should work together. And in a nutshell, are you saying women can be a father, or are you saying yes, they can be a father in places where they need to be a father, or can they not be a father?
They can be anything. Women can be anything, but why should they be a father? The father should just be there. So, as much as they can do it, we shouldn't have to do it.
Thank you. We just want those words to confirm out there that men, we need you, and us women cannot be fathers. We shouldn't be forced to be fathers because we are women and we play a great role. Thank you, Mutoko. We are now going to all our viewers for all your comments that you have been sharing with us. And we are now going to address some of those comments and read those out. Thank you for sharing this program. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for following us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. We welcome you and thank you. And Pastor Pat says, awesome evening, very encouraging topic. And thank you to you for joining us. And Bangi says, Lady Winnette, well said and so profound. And thank you for your acknowledgement. And Faith says, positive masculine and feminine role models are what children need. And we echo that from here. And Caroline says, our next generation will be lost without communication between our males and females. And how very true is that? And Ugoma says, good evening, ladies, and good evening to you. And thank you for joining us. And Adepeju says, great response to that question from Lady Bennett Peters. And thank you. We acknowledge your presence today. Thank you for joining us. Monty says, women are great in power in the workplace. And we acknowledge that coming from a man. Thank you. And Kennedy, hey, darling, thank you. He says, that's true at Peggy. Both men and women have to team up. We have been echoing that sentiment this evening. Melissa says, I think mothers are brilliant figures capable of anything, but there are things fathers provide that mothers unfortunately can't meet. Very well said. A woman can always be a woman. And Vicky says, sorry. Vicky says, teamwork is with everyone, men or women. Adepeju says, agree with you. We are powerful women. And Tombi says, childhood upbringing plays a huge role in who the children become as adults. Very true. Faith says, I had an amazing father, hardworking, but my daughter's father was negative and abusive. There are times when you have to set boundaries to protect the children, to show them how to respect themselves. And Faith, on that note, we absolutely agree with you. And if father of the children, your partner, is abusive to the children, was abusive to you, then of course the necessary steps to detach should be done. In which case, we are also encouraging that the uncles step up, the brothers and the male role models in our community step up to assist in that male role that's needed in the children. Thank you for your comment. Vicky says, Peggy Williams, totally agree with you. Dream work makes the dream work. Vangi says, Motoko, great response. Women don't have to take the responsibility of a father. But like you say, the system is broken. Both men and women should take their roles and responsibilities. Agreeing. As Apeja says, fantastic and very timely topic for this season. And we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you. Vicky says, great questions. You'll rock it. Keep on going. And we absolutely appreciate you, Vicky Gavi, and all the work and assistance and all the work that you do in the background. Totally appreciate you. We would like to say we appreciate each and every viewer. We appreciate every share. We appreciate every like, every comment, and we welcome you to join us in every week. And please always do stay in touch. We're now going to go back to Peggy. And Peggy, in summary of our topic this evening, what is that message that you would like to share with our audience?
I would love to share that I am all about empowerment and motivation. That's what I do. That's what I teach. That's how I raised my sons. And I want to just give a quick example. When I hire coaches, I worked for the University of Colorado, and they thought I was crazy when I would look at an application. And of course, I needed them to be qualified, but I wanted to see a video. And the reason I wanted to see a video is I wanted to see the whites of their eyes, the excitement, their passion, their purpose shine through. Each one of us have something inside of us to contribute. I want us to think about whatever our resume in life has been, to put that aside, put your vision aside and go off of the feel and the purpose and passion that we all have inside and celebrate that. And as far as males and females in our children's roles or society, the main message I want to say is that we only know what we only know. I can't be a full male in my children's lives or in society because I could only teach what either I was missing or what I've seen or what I think it should be. I'm not a male and I didn't grow up that way, nor can a male do the same thing as a mother or a female. Case closed. We are different. We do contribute differently. We can contribute differently. And exactly what one of your viewers said, Wynette, she said, teamwork makes the dream work. And I want to leave it with today saying, we can all communicate, start with positivity, agree to disagree. We don't need to fight. Welcome to America with the election last year. We don't need to fight anymore. Stop pointing fingers, love each other. It's going to take a while. This is going to take a while, but we've been doing and improving for generations, and we can keep doing it as long as we don't point fingers at each other. We think about the children, we think about the world, and we all have responsibility in that to step up and own it and improve and grow. So those are my final thoughts.
And thank you so much, Peggy. Peggy, in your wellness industry, can you share with us what you have to offer?
Absolutely. I do have a radio show. I have beautiful guests on, just like yourself, like your guest here. I have a real-time transformation coaching docu-series where I coach people just like this live and air it on social media for people to live vicariously through all of life's, health, wellness goals. I also do wellness retreats for males and females. And I coach virtually for couples and buddies and corporations. And my whole mission is to meet people where they are, their real world, nothing cookie cutter, nutrition, exercise, nothing cookie cutter. It's all about you. And that's what I do. And that rhymes, and I didn't plan it. So that's me.
Superlicious. Superlicious. And thank you for taking time out to join us on the Extraordinary Achievers Show. We certainly look forward to welcoming you back in the future because you're a woman of many talents, much wisdom, and you are absolutely so bubbly. I love it because your communication with me leaves me so upbeat. So thank you so very much. Thank you. And thank you for taking time out today. Thank you. We would like to say thank you to our viewers and thank you to our guests. And we would like to welcome back Motoko back onto our screens. Motoko, in a nutshell, how would you like to end your views for this evening? women in charge, women in power, and our men. What would you like to say?
There's so much power in women. Women have moved mountains. They have done what was thought impossible, but they have done it. And let's just harness that power. And not only within us, let's just lift each other up. And also understand that sometimes the man in your life, your father, your uncle, your partner, is not what you see on TV, but it does not mean that he's not good for something. So let's just allow our children to grow up with those role models, because he may not have more money than you, but he may be a decent father. So let us make sure that we use our strength for the good, because we are amazing people. I remember in South Africa in 1956, the government was trying to extend the pass laws to women. The women marched to Pretoria and the government backtracked. All men still continued carrying passbooks, but women did not. So I'm just saying there's nothing women cannot do. And we are the nurturers, we are the homemakers. It doesn't mean that it's wrong to do that. I have a career, it doesn't mean that I can't do that as well. It's just about us lifting each other up, making sure that we listen to the children, and making sure that whatever we do, we're thinking about the future, not just today, because things may work out today, but tomorrow the child is growing up to be a father and an uncle and mother and whoever. So we need to build them up today. So let's just do our best with the children, and that's the best investment we can make for our future.
And what amazing summary that you shared today. Thank you so much for taking time out. And thank you for having the excitement, the encouragement these last few days on coming on tonight's show. You have been a burst of energy for me, and I really and truly appreciate you. Thank you. You're so encouraging.
Thank you.
And I truly look forward to welcoming you back on the show again. And I hope you do say yes, because you're an amazing
Of
character. And
course.
I would, and I will keep in touch because you're
Mm,
just so amazing. I thank Mr. Munya for introducing me to you, because he's introduced me. And remember what you said when you met Mr. Munya, he says, I think we're going to be friends for a long time. I think we're going to be friends for a long time too.
I
Thank
believe
you.
that too. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
very much. We are now going to address some of those comments that we have from our viewers at home, as we thank you for participating, for commenting, for joining us today. And as you heard it from our ladies, we can be women in power, women in charge, but there's still a place for men in our lives. We need to work in unity. We need to work together, and we can bring up some amazing children. The next generation can be empowered by both of us. And Adepeji says, oh, wow, Peggy, you nailed it. Oh, she did. She nailed it. All right. Adepeji says, fantastic and very timely topic for this season. And we truly and truly appreciate you. And your comments, Monty says, power should be in the boardroom. I love a powerful woman. Thank you. And Adepeji says, well said, Mtoko. Great. Thank you. Melissa says, a brilliant segment, super stimulating. Thank you. And a caller says, a brilliant event. Thank you. And thank you to you, caller. We appreciate you. And thank you for what you're doing with Sound Mind. You are changing lives each and every day. And we super appreciate you and your team and all the work you're doing at Sound Mind. We would like to offer you something. In the meantime, as I get back to this, let's play Tombi's advert for our viewers, just to remind. So, Tombi has offered to give away an oil bottle, peppermint oil. And the uses for the peppermint oil are peppermint oil is promoted for topical use applied to the skin for problems like headache, muscle aches, joint pain, and itching. In aromatherapy, peppermint oil is promoted for treating coughs and colds. reducing pain, improving mental function, and reducing stress. Now, the person that's going to win this bottle, we have 2 bottles actually coming from Tombi. So the first 2 people that type in the comment box, are we ready for this? The first 2 individuals to type in the comment box, "See you next week," they get the bottles. See you next week. Now, in the meantime, we will have our team look up to see you next week. Put it up on the screen.
Not yet.
See you next week. See you next week. The first 2 people to type in "see you next week." Caller says, "See you next week." You get your peppermint bottle. And who else? See you next week. See you next week. Who next? Next. Who? Oh, see you next week. We have 2 bottles to give away. Doesn't anyone want a peppermint bottle? Oh, we have you. And Adepeju says, "See you next week," and "See you next week," Adepeju. And we will contact you after the show so that we can send you your peppermint bottle to you. And thank you to Matombi for that. That's an amazing woman, a powerful woman doing amazing things and also contributing to the community. The details of our guests are going to be put into our comment boxes below, and also the details of Matombi and how to get hold of her and her products and services will also be put into the comment box. In the meantime, we would like to say from the Extraordinary Achievers Show, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the likes, the comments, and the shares. And thank you for being part of this show. YouTube viewers, Facebook pages. We have several Facebook pages we air live on, including my personal page, Extraordinary Achievers page, and many other live pages, a total of 50 pages that we air live on. We thank you wherever you're watching us from. Twitter, LinkedIn, we thank you for tuning in, and Meetup, we thank you for tuning in too. Viewers from our website, we would like to say thank you for tuning in, and wherever you watched us from today, from any of our platforms or our shared platforms, thank you to every person shared, to every group, to every page. May you abundantly always get people to support you too. We thank you for today, and we look forward to seeing you next week and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thank you for joining us today, and good night from the Extraordinary Achievers team and myself, and from our guests. Thank you for tuning in.
For real-life stories broadcasted live on air, to please subscribe to our newsletter from our website. We will be honored if you could please like and follow our Facebook pages. Stay in touch and tune in by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you for following us on our Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and TikTok. We are live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT. Please do share with others.
Thank you for watching. You can now follow us on Facebook and subscribe our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and comment.